Hi guys, Sat Sri Akal. Thank you for logging in. In the next 5 to 7 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about how you can immigrate to Canada without any consultant. So please keep in mind before we proceed that I'm not a consultant. I do not know how the process for all kinds of immigration works. I will only be talking about express entry into Canada, which is how I personally have applied. And yesterday I've received my confirmation of permanent residence from Canada. So I'm probably going to be moving there in the near future. And I'm just sharing snippets of my experience on how you can get started. And if you've done some research already, I'm sure you would have also found that if you go in and look for a consultant to get you from your country to Canada, you probably have to pay a huge sum of money to the consultant in addition to the immigration fee, which is also not a small amount. So my research showed me that consultants charge anywhere between $2,000 to upwards of even $20,000, depending on your eagerness to get to Canada, the skills that you possess, and the mode of application that you choose. So let's get started and let's talk about the express entry. So, in a nutshell, when you start your express entry application, there is a pool of candidates who are selected basis an aggregate score that you can calculate. Um, and Once every 15 days, a cutoff is issued by the IRCC, and then they invite the applicants who have qualified in that pool to begin the application for permanent residency. So, again, in a nutshell, there are two steps. The first step is you qualify into the pool, and the next step is you commence your application. So, how do you qualify in the pool? The first thing you need to do is be aware of uh, the prerequisites. So, the first prerequisite is a valid IELTS score. Now, the IELTS is an exam that is meant to test your proficiency in the English language, especially if you come from a country which is where English is not a native language. So, in India, which is my home country, English is not a native language, although it is the medium of communication for all official purposes. Yet we need to take the IELTS exam and have a certain score. The sectional cutoffs, I believe, for the express entry are 7 in 3 section and 8 in 1 section. In my case, my score was 8.5, which is a pretty good score. I scored eights and I think one nine and a couple of 8.5s. So 8.5 was my aggregate score. So I qualified in the IELTS, and this was in my first attempt. Um, I've also since been helping some of my friends and peers and colleagues in preparing for the IELTS exam. So the speaking section and the writing section can be a bit tricky. There is a section on listening, which I found to be fairly simple, and then there's another section which was also kind of it was kind of simple, very functional. So the reading and the reading section and the section on listening are fairly simple if you have good command over English. The tricky sections are the writing section and the speaking section. The speaking test happens on a different day, and there's an external examiner who conducts your exam, and it's all in a very professional manner. There are two organizations which conduct the IELTS exam. One is the British Council, the other is IDP, and you could register through any of those for the exam. Look up the available dates, basis your level of preparation, choose a date that works for you, and then kind of work backwards to prepare yourself to perform your best in the first instance. these tests are not very expensive, but they're not very inexpensive either. So you want to get it right the first time. The second step, or the second prerequisite, which should start in tandem when you make up your mind to start preparing for immigration to Canada. So the first prerequisite was the IELTS score. The second prerequisite is the WES evaluation. WES is a company that's been appointed by Canada to conduct an evaluation of your educational credentials. So if you're a graduate or a postgraduate, you need to send your educational transcripts to WES, and they will then evaluate basis the Canadian education system where you stand. So it's interesting, but some of our 3-year degree courses here in India, the credits that you have here are equivalent to a 4-year degree credit or a 4-year bachelor's program in Canada. And some of the 2-year postgraduate programs in India are the equivalent of a 1-year master's in Canada. So, it sort of helps the Canadian government and you as well to get an understanding where you stand vis-a-vis your education when compared to somebody who's already in Canada and who's been part of the Canadian education system. So the first thing you do is log on to the WES website, you create an account, and you pay the fee, and then you get a WES number. Now, this WES number has to be sort of mentioned on all correspondence with WES, and that's the number that you use when you go to your university and you submit an application. Now, the transcripts need to go directly from the university to WES. Back in the day, what used to happen is that the university would give you the transcript and you would send it to WES. But now that process has changed completely. Now WES asks the university to create a sealed envelope and send that envelope directly to WES in Canada. Once they have sent the transcripts, WES writes back to the university and asks them to validate whether they have issued that credential or not. So this process takes fairly long time. It takes up to 3 months, and depending on how fast your university is able to respond back to WES and what courier they use to get your transcripts across to them. So you have to be patient. It's not something that will happen overnight. Once you are in possession of your IELTS score and your WES evaluation, you use those details to log into your account on the Canadian immigration website, which is cic.gc.ca, and enter all the additional details that they've asked for with regards to your work experience, age, or there are a bunch of details that they asked for at that time. So you fill in all those details, and then you're given a score, and that is the score basis the information that you've provided to them. Now, basis that score, every 15 days there's going to be a pool. If you're selected, you'll get a letter back from the immigration authorities there telling you that you can now start working on building your application for PR. So when you qualify in the express entry, that's half the job already done. But now comes the part which is more mundane and where your attention to detail is going to be critical. So all the information that you've mentioned in the form when you were filling your express entry profile, you have to substantiate all that information in this phase. So you will be required to provide, for example, your bank statements showing that you have the funds available to move to Canada. The work experience that you had talked about, you need to get experience letters in the format that they asked for from all your previous employers. In addition, there's a medical examination that you need to go through. and also you have to prove to them that there is no criminal proceeding against you. So there is a police clearance certificate that gets issued to you from your home country, and that too forms a part of your application. So there are these bunch of things. Um, there is also a demand for fee. Now, it is entirely your choice whether you want to pay all the fee upfront or you wish to pay the processing fee first and the visa fee when there's a confirmation or when they want to grant you the visa. So you can pay the fee in two parts. In any case, if you are not issued a PR for any reason, the visa fee is refunded back to you. So in my case, I had chosen to pay the fee in two parts. But if you want your application to get processed faster, I would advise and I would recommend that you pay it in one go because it's anyways going to come back if for any reason your application does not go through. So it's basically a very systematic process, and if you are a methodical person, you should have no trouble in applying for PR on your own and following these steps through to the end. The only thing that you need to be very mindful of is checking your email account very regularly because you don't want to miss a correspondence from them and you want to be able to respond back on time. Uh, Now, as a bonus, I'm going to be offering to help all of you with your IELTS preparation. If you need any guidance or assistance, I'm available to help. You can drop me an email. The email ID is in the description below. You can drop me an email and I will respond back with a time that works for, maybe you can mention your availability and I'll come back with a time that works for me as well. My consulting fee on that would be $20 for 20 minutes and $50 for up to 1 hour. We can work on that together, and I can, after the first call, I'll be able to assess and gauge on how much time we would need to spend together. But what this would enable you to do is to sort of get started with how to prepare and how to get yourself ready. And anybody who's from India or from any of these Asian countries, uh, I don't think it will be much of a problem if you've studied English as part of your curriculum, if you've speaking English as part of your job profile or your work. You should be able to catch up and prepare for the IELTS exam fairly quickly. I can also take some general questions basis my own, personal experience or personal journey of application. I will not be able to address specific questions on other categories, but on the express entry, since I've gone through the process, if you have any questions for me on how it was or how much time something took, I can give you general examples, and I can point you in the direction of the resources on the IRCC website, which are available for use by all of us. So if you'd like to make an appointment, do let me know. Do email me. That's the best way to get in touch, and you can really help out others and pay it forward as well by liking this video, sharing it with other people whom you know are interested, and just so that everybody can benefit from the same. And I wish you all the best if you're planning to apply. If you watched this to the end, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time, and good luck. Maybe meet in Canada. Thank you. Have a great day.